General Motors has built some of the greatest engines in American history. They've also built some of the most catastrophically expensive mistakes ever bolted under a hood. Today, we're cutting through the noise across GMC, Chevy, Cadillac, Buick, and the rest of the GM family tree. We're counting down the 3 worst GM engines that will drain your wallet faster than a Vegas weekend, and the 4 best GM engines that will genuinely run forever. From the 6.2-liter L87 tearing itself apart in brand new trucks, to the engine that's been called unkillable for over a century. Stay with me, because one of these engines is probably sitting in your driveway right now. Worst 3, 6.2-liter L87 V8, the ticking time bomb. Let's start with something that's going to make a lot of Silverado and Sierra owners very uncomfortable. Meet worst number 3, the ticking time bomb, the 6.2-liter L87 V8. On paper, this engine looks like everything you'd ever want in a truck. 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque. It's the top-shelf engine in the Silverado 1500, Sierra 1500, Tahoe, and Yukon. The engine buyers pay a serious premium to get, and for a while, it feels like the best decision you ever made. Then the ticking starts. The L87's fatal flaw is something called dynamic fuel management. DFM. It's GM's system that deactivates cylinders on the fly to save fuel, shutting down any combination of the 8 cylinders depending on load. Sounds clever. It isn't. The collapsible lifters that make this system work are about as reliable as a screen door on a submarine. When a lifter fails, and they fail, it seizes in the collapse position. You'll hear a tick, then a knock, then silence. The expensive kind. A failed lifter doesn't just take itself out, and it takes the camshaft with it, and if it shatters, it sends metal debris through your entire oiling system like shrapnel through a tin can. At that point, you're not looking at a repair, you're looking at a full engine replacement, and it gets worse. GM issued a recall covering over 600,000 trucks for connecting rod bearing defects, a block casting issue that causes premature bearing failure from improper lubrication, and we're talking about brand new trucks needing engine replacements before 40,000 miles. The cruelest part of this whole story, the fix has been available since day one. Tuners and mechanics will tell you, delete the DFM system with an aftermarket tune, and the L87 becomes a completely different engine. But you shouldn't have to modify a brand new truck to make it survive. If you own one of these, change your oil every 4,000 miles with full synthetic, listen for any valve train noise, and act immediately if you hear it. Do not wait. The ticking time bomb earned its nickname honestly. Expected mileage on a well-maintained DFM deleted example? Around 140,000 miles before serious issues on a stock engine. That's not a truck engine lifespan. That's barely a down payment's worth of miles. Now, if you think a failing full-size truck engine is bad, wait until you hear about the engine that's currently sitting under the hood of most base model new Silverados. It's called the Stressed Singer, and it's working harder than it was ever designed to handle. Worst 2, 2.7-liter Turbomax, the Stressed Singer. Here's a question that should make every new truck buyer stop and think. What happens when you take a 4-cylinder engine and ask it to do the job of a V8? Meet worst number 2. The Stressed Singer, the 2.7-liter Turbomax. GM's marketing team did a masterful job selling this one. 310 horsepower. 430 pound-feet of torque from a 4-cylinder engine in a full-size truck. Those numbers are genuinely impressive on a spec sheet. The problem is that a spec sheet doesn't tow a boat up a mountain pass in July. You do. The 2.7 Turbo Max is the standard engine in the Silverado 1500, which means right now millions of Americans are driving trucks with this engine under the hood, many of them towing and hauling without a second thought. And here's what's actually happening inside that engine when you do. The turbocharger is spinning at extreme temperatures. The oil is degrading faster than the service interval suggests. The direct injection system is building carbon deposits on the intake valves with every mile. And the timing chain, already under elevated stress from the turbo's heat load, is wearing at an accelerated rate. Owners who tow regularly are reporting full turbocharger replacements well before 100,000 miles. That's not a wear item, that's a failure. The core problem is thermal stress. This engine produces 430 pound-feet of torque, more than the old 6.0-liter Vortec V8, but it does it from a fraction of the displacement. That means every component is working at or near its thermal ceiling almost constantly under load. Think of it like hiring a lightweight boxer to do a heavyweight's job. He can do it for a round or two, but ask him to go 15 rounds every single day and something's going to give. If you're stuck with one of these, change your oil every 4,000 miles, not 7,500, not whatever the dashboard tells you. Perform a walnut blast on the intake valves every 50,000 miles to clear the carbon buildup. And if you tow regularly, seriously consider whether this is the right engine for your life. Expected mileage? Around 115,000 miles before significant issues under real-world towing conditions. The stressed singer is working itself to death, one toe at a time. But here's the thing. Both of these engines, the L87 and the TurboMax, share the same fundamental sin. They're the latest chapter in a story that GM started writing all the way back in 1981. The engine that started it all has a name. They called it the digital seesaw, and what GM did with it is one of the most jaw-dropping engineering disasters in American automotive history. Worst one, Cadillac V864 L62, the digital seesaw. Imagine you're a Cadillac engineer in 1981. You've just been handed a technology that nobody in the world has ever successfully put into a production car. Variable cylinder deactivation. The idea is brilliant. Shut down cylinders you don't need, save fuel, keep the luxury car buyers happy. The execution? A catastrophe that would haunt GM for the next 43 years. Meet worst number one, the digital seesaw, the Cadillac V864, engine code L62. The 6.0-liter V8 was fitted to the Cadillac DeVille, Fleetwood, Eldorado, and Seville, the crown jewels of American luxury at the time. The concept was that a computer would monitor engine load and seamlessly deactivate cylinders, running on 8, 6, or 4 cylinders depending on what the car needed. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Here's the problem. The computer managing this system in 1981 had less processing power than the digital watch on your wrist right now. The solenoids designed to deactivate the rocker arms couldn't respond fast enough for real-world driving conditions. The result was an engine that would hunt desperately for the right number of cylinders, lurching, vibrating, and jerking its way down the road like a washing machine with a brick in it. Cadillac owners, people who paid top dollar for the smoothest ride in America, were getting violent shudders at highway speed. The engine would stall at intersections, warning lights would illuminate for no apparent reason, and the 140 horsepower it produced in a full-size luxury car was barely enough to merge onto a freeway with confidence. Here's the part that should make your jaw drop. GM dealerships were so overwhelmed with complaints that GM officially sanctioned a disable procedure. Dealers were quietly instructed to permanently deactivate the cylinder management system and leave owners with a standard V8. They admitted, without saying it out loud, that the technology simply did not work. The digital seesaw was discontinued after just 2 model years. Expected mileage? 60,000 miles if the system didn't destroy itself first. And now here's the part that connects everything, the L87's dynamic fuel management, the TurboMax's thermal stress, the V864's cylinder hunting. 3 different engines, 3 different decades, 1 identical mistake, complexity. GM has been fighting this battle since before some of you were born, and it cost Cadillac a decade of its reputation to learn the lesson. The good news? Some GM engineers finally got the memo. Look, we just watched GM light 3 engines on fire in 3 different decades. That's the bad news. The good news is that the same company that built those disasters also built some of the most indestructible engines in American automotive history. And here's what's interesting. The engineers who built the worst engines on this list worked in the same building as the engineers who built the next 4. Same company, completely different philosophy. One group chased complexity, the other group chased longevity. You're about to meet the ones who got it right. Best 4, 6.6-liter L8T gas V8, the heavy-duty hammer. Remember the digital seesaw? Remember the ticking time bomb? 43 years of cylinder deactivation failures. Now meet the engine that GM built when they finally said, enough. Meet best number 4, the heavy-duty hammer, the 6.6-liter L8T gas V8. This engine lives in the Silverado 2500HD and Sierra 2500HD, the trucks that actually work for a living. And the first thing you need to know about the L8T is what it doesn't have. No active fuel management, no dynamic fuel management, no cylinder deactivation of any kind. GM's engineers looked at 40 years of evidence and made a deliberate decision. In a truck designed to tow 18,500 pounds, there is no room for clever tricks, just engineering. The L8T uses a cast iron block, a direct return to GM's roots of durability over weight savings. It runs Inconel exhaust valves, the same heat-resistant alloy used in jet engine components, because sustained heavy towing generates temperatures that would destroy conventional valves. It uses jet spray piston cooling nozzles, oil jets that spray directly onto the underside of each piston to manage heat under maximum load. The result? 401 horsepower and 464 pound-feet of torque, delivered with the kind of mechanical confidence that comes from not asking the engine to do anything it wasn't designed for. And this is what happens when GM engineers stop trying to be clever and start trying to be right. Mechanics who've spent careers replacing L87 lifters are recommending the L8T without hesitation. That's not a small thing. That's the entire industry voting with its opinion. Projected lifespan with proper maintenance? 250,000 miles. And early fleet data suggests that number may be conservative. To keep the heavy-duty hammer swinging, Change your oil every 5,000 miles with full synthetic, use only Dexos 2 approved oil, and inspect those jet spray piston cooling nozzles at 100,000 miles. The L8T is proof that GM can build an engine right when they commit to it. But here's the thing. The next engine on this list didn't need a 40-year lesson to figure that out. It got it right the first time, and it did it in a Buick. They call it the unkillable cockroach. And that nickname is more accurate than you might think. Best 3, Buick 3800 V6 Series 2, the unkillable cockroach. Nobody puts a Buick V6 on a best engines list, nobody except Ward's Auto, who named it one of the 10 best engines of the 20th century, twice. Meet best number 3, the unkillable cockroach, the Buick 3800 V6 Series 2. This 3.8-liter V6 powered the Buick LeSabre, Park Avenue, Pontiac Bonneville, and Grand Prix, cars that your grandfather drove to 300,000 miles on nothing but oil changes and stubbornness. And here's what makes the 3800 genuinely remarkable. It's not remarkable because of what it has. It's remarkable because of what it doesn't have. No variable valve timing, no direct injection, no cylinder deactivation, no turbos, just a pushrod V6 with an iron block, aluminum heads, and an almost pathological commitment to not braking. The 3800 produces 205 horsepower and 230 pound-feet of torque, numbers that won't win any drag races. But this engine wasn't built to win drag races, it was built to outlive everything around it. And it does. Reliability rating, 9.7 out of 10. Second highest of every engine in this entire video. The supercharged variant, the L67, bumped output to 240 horsepower and found its way into the Pontiac Grand Prix, GTP, and Buick Park Avenue Ultra. And even with forced induction added to the equation, the fundamental reliability of the architecture held. The one thing you need to watch on the 3800 is the intake manifold gaskets. They will seep coolant at high mileage. It's the engine's one known weakness, and it's a manageable one. Replace them proactively at 100,000 miles, use only Dexcool coolant, never mix it, and check the supercharger oil annually on the L67. Do those 3 things and the unkillable cockroach will keep running long after everything else has given up. Expected mileage? 350,000 miles. In a Buick, the 3800 is proof that you don't need complexity to achieve greatness. But the next engine on this list takes that philosophy and scales it to an entirely different level. It's in more American driveways than any other engine we've discussed today. It has the highest reliability rating of any modern GM engine ever built, and mechanics who've seen everything call it the war hero. Best 2, 5.3-liter Vortec, LM7 L33, the war hero. If you've owned a Silverado, Sierra, Tahoe, Suburban, or Yukon from anywhere between 1999 and 2006, there's a very good chance you already know this engine. You just might not know how good it actually is. Meet best number 2, the war hero, the 5.3-liter Vortec, engine codes LM7 and L33. This is the engine that built GM's reputation for truck reliability in the modern era, and the numbers back it up completely. Reliability rating, 9.8 out of 10, the highest of any modern engine in this entire video. Expected mileage with basic maintenance? 400,000 miles. Let that number sit for a second. 400,000 miles on oil changes. Fleet operators figured this out early. Taxi companies, government fleets, utility companies, they ran LM7-powered GMT 800 trucks past 400,000 miles with nothing more than regular fluid changes and the occasional wear item. No rebuilds, no major internal work, just maintenance. The reason the war hero survives where other engines fail comes down to what GM left out of it. No active fuel management, no variable valve timing, no cam phasers to fail, no collapsible lifters to collapse, just a cast iron block, a clean oiling system, and a pushrod valve train so simple that a competent home mechanic can work on it with basic tools. The LM7 produces 295 horsepower and 335 pound-feet of torque. Not the most powerful engine on this list, but more than enough to do the job it was designed for. Day after day, year after year, decade after decade. The L33 aluminum block variant, found in the Silverado SS and high-output applications, pushed output higher while maintaining the same fundamental reliability. To keep the war hero in the fight, change your oil every 5,000 miles with full synthetic, inspect the intake manifold gaskets at 150,000 miles, and keep the coolant fresh. That's it. That's the entire maintenance conversation for an engine that will outlast most of the vehicles it's ever been put in. The war hero earned its name the hard way, by surviving everything the road threw at it. But there is one engine above it on this list, one engine that the engineers who designed the LM7 studied, learned from, and built upon. An engine that has powered Corvettes and cargo ships, race cars and riverboats, muscle cars, and the United States military. They call it the Immortal. And after everything you've seen today, you're about to understand exactly why. Best one, Chevy 350 Gen 1 small block, the immortal. There are engines. And then there is the Chevy 350. Meet best number one, the immortal. The Chevrolet 350 cubic inch, Generation 1 small block V8, 5.7 liters, 8 cylinders. And a production run that lasted from 1967 all the way to 2003, 36 years of continuous production, making it the longest-running V8 engine in American automotive history. Let's talk about what this engine has powered, because the list is genuinely staggering. The Corvette, the Camaro, the CK pickup truck, the Caprice, the Blazer, offshore racing boats, military vehicles, airboats in the Florida Everglades, industrial generators that have been running continuously for decades. If it needed power and it needed to last, someone put a Chevy 350 in it. The engine produces 250 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque in standard form. Numbers that don't sound dramatic until you realize this engine has been making those numbers reliably since the Nixon administration. The secret to the Immortal's longevity is the same secret as every great engine on this list. Simplicity, cast iron block and heads, pushrod valve train, 2 valves per cylinder, no variable timing, no cylinder deactivation, no turbos, no electronics to fail, just displacement, compression, and mechanical integrity, built to a standard that GM has never quite matched since. There are documented examples of Chevy 350 engines with over 1 million miles across their service life, not rebuilt engines. Original blocks that have been maintained, respected, and kept running through sheer mechanical stubbornness. The aftermarket support for this engine is so vast that you can rebuild one from scratch using nothing but parts from your local auto store. No dealer, no specialty supplier, no waiting. To keep the Immortal running, change your oil every 3,000 miles on older carbureted versions, replace the timing chain at 150,000 miles as a preventative measure, and keep the cooling system flushed and fresh. Do that and this engine will genuinely outlast you. Expected mileage, 300,000 miles. And that's a conservative floor, not a ceiling. The Immortal didn't earn that nickname from a marketing department, it earned it from 50 years of mechanics, fleet operators, racers, and everyday drivers who refused to let it die. And honestly, it doesn't look like it's planning to anytime soon. So there you have it, 3 GM engines that will cost you everything, and 4 that will give you everything back. And the lesson across every single engine in this video is the same one GM keeps learning the hard way. Simplicity wins, complexity kills. If you found this useful, hit that subscribe button. We've got a lot more engine deep dives coming your way. Drop a comment below and tell me which engine is sitting in your driveway right now. This is Tom from Seats and Wheels. Thanks for watching.